Have you ever wondered why some people, even in the hardest storms of life, still shine with hope, still walk with courage, and still inspire others to keep moving forward? It's not because their lives are easy, and it's not because they never face pain. The truth is, they have discovered something deeper. They have discovered the transforming power of faith. And that is what I want to remind you of today. Faith not only inspires your heart, it transforms your entire life. You see, faith is not just believing in something distant. Faith is trusting in the God who is near, the God who is present, the God who is writing your story even when you feel lost in the middle of it. Faith has the power to turn fear into courage, sorrow into strength, and weakness into victory. When we talk about inspiring faith, we are not talking about a shallow kind of hope that only works when the sun is shining. We are talking about the kind of faith that holds you steady when the night is long, when the tears fall, when the road feels endless, and when you don't know how to take the next step. That's the kind of faith that changes lives. That's the kind of faith that transforms your life and through you transforms the lives of those around you. Think about it. The Bible is filled with stories of ordinary people who were transformed by faith. Abraham, who had no idea where God was leading him, but he trusted and walked. Moses, who felt unworthy, yet by faith led a nation to freedom. Esther, who stood in courage because she believed God placed her where she was for such a time as this. And the disciples, who left behind everything because they believed in the one who called them. None of these lives were easy. Every one of them faced fear, doubt, and opposition. But faith turned their weakness into strength, and because of that, their lives became testimonies that still inspire us today. Now, maybe you are listening to this and thinking, but my life doesn't feel like that. My life feels messy, broken, and heavy. Friend, I want to tell you that is exactly where faith begins. Faith is not about pretending your struggles don't exist. Faith is about trusting that God is bigger than your struggles. Faith doesn't deny the pain. It declares that pain will not have the final word. Faith doesn't ignore the storm. It believes that God can calm the storm and sometimes that he can calm you in the middle of it. I want you to imagine for a moment, what would your life look like if you allowed faith to take root in every part of it? What if instead of being defined by fear, you were defined by trust in God's promises? What if instead of carrying shame, you believed that God's grace has already set you free? What if instead of being overwhelmed by life, you chose to walk by faith one step at a time, trusting that God has already gone before you? That kind of faith doesn't just change your thoughts, it changes your destiny. Let me tell you this. Every single time you choose faith over fear, you are transforming not only your heart, but also your future. People may see only your struggle, but God sees your strength. People may see your failure, but God sees your future. People may see your tears, but God sees the seeds of joy that are being planted through those very tears. The world may look at you and count you out, but God looks at you and says, I am not finished with you yet. That is the power of inspiring faith. And here's the beautiful truth. When your faith begins to transform you, it doesn't stop there. It overflows. It inspires others. You may not even realize it, but someone is watching you. Someone is learning from your journey. Someone is finding hope because you didn't give up. Your story of faith may be the very encouragement someone else needs to keep going. That is why your faith matters, not just for you, but for the lives connected to you. So, the next time you feel like your faith is small, remember, Jesus said that even faith as small as a mustard seed can move mountains. Why? Because it's not about the the size of your faith. It's about the greatness of the God you put your faith in. That little seed of trust in Him is enough to transform your life in ways you cannot imagine. Maybe today you are standing at a crossroads. Maybe you are carrying a heavy burden, feeling exhausted, or fighting a battle no one else can see. Friend, this is your moment to lean into faith. This is your moment to say, God, I don't know how, but I trust you. Because when you choose faith, you are choosing transformation. And that transformation doesn't just change your present, it changes your eternity. Faith is not a decoration you put on display only when life looks good. Faith is a lifeline, a foundation, a fire in the soul that sustains you when nothing else does. The truth is, life will test you. There will be days when you feel like everything is falling apart, days when your prayers seem unanswered, days when the voices of doubt are louder than the whispers of hope. And in those moments, faith doesn't always look like shouting victory. Sometimes faith looks like simply whispering, Lord, I still believe. Think of a seed planted in the ground. It doesn't grow overnight. In fact, for a long time, it looks like nothing is happening. The soil is dark, the seed is hidden, and there is no visible evidence of life. But deep beneath the surface, something is stirring. Roots are forming. Growth is taking place. That's how faith works. You may feel hidden. You may feel like nothing is changing, but beneath the surface, God is at work. And when the time is right, the breakthrough will come. The plant will push through the soil, and what was once unseen will become undeniable. Your faith is preparing you for that moment. But here's the challenge. Will you trust God in the hidden seasons? Will you believe when you cannot see? Because it's easy to celebrate faith when prayers are answered quickly. But it's much harder to stand firm when the silence lingers. Yet, that is exactly where the deepest transformation happens. Faith in the unseen produces strength that nothing else can give. Let me remind you this. The God you serve is the same yesterday, today, and forever. If He was faithful to Abraham, Moses, Esther, and Paul, He will be faithful to you. If He parted seas before, He can make a way for you. If He shut the mouths of lions before, He can protect you in your trial. If He brought life to dry bones before, He can revive the places in your life that feel dead. The power of God has not diminished, and your faith in Him will connect you to that same power today. And don't underestimate the ripple effect of your faith. Your children are watching. Your family is watching. Your friends, your coworkers, even strangers may be watching. Every time you choose to trust God instead of giving up, you plant seeds of hope in someone else's life. Think about that for a moment. The way you walk through the valley could be the reason someone else believes they can make it through theirs. That is inspiring faith. That is faith that transforms not just your life, but the lives around you. But maybe you're asking, how do I hold on when I feel weak? How do I keep believing when I'm tired? Let me give you a simple truth. Faith does not depend on your strength. It depends on God's strength. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to pretend to be strong. You simply have to lean on the one who is strong enough for both of you. The Bible says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. That means your weakness is not a disqualification. It's the very place where God's power can shine the brightest. Sometimes we think transformation means everything in our circumstances will instantly change. But the greatest transformation happens first inside of us. The storm may still rage outside, but faith transforms your heart so that you can have peace in the storm. The problem may not disappear immediately, but faith transforms your mind so that you see the problem through the lens of God's promises. The pain may still be real, but faith transforms your soul so that even in pain, you know you are not abandoned. That's why faith is so powerful. It changes you before it changes your situation. And once you are changed on the inside, everything on the outside begins to look different. Fear loses its grip. Doubt loses its voice. Hopelessness loses its hold. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently. Not because life is suddenly easy, but because you know who walks beside you. That is transformation. Let me encourage you with this. Your faith journey is not about perfection. It's about persistence. You don't have to have unshakable faith every single moment. Even the disciples doubted. Even Peter, who walked on water, sank when he looked at the waves. But the difference is he reached out and Jesus was there to lift him up. Your faith will have moments of trembling, but as long as you keep reaching out to God, He will not let you sink. And maybe right now, you feel like you are barely holding on. You feel like your faith is fragile. Friend, let me assure you, even fragile faith is powerful when it is placed in a faithful God. The strength of your faith does not come from how tightly you can hold on. It comes from the one who is holding you, and He has promised that nothing can snatch you out of His hand. So don't give up. Don't let the darkness convince you that light will never come. Don't let the pain convince you that joy will never return. Don't let the enemy convince you that your story is over. Because when you walk by faith, your story is still being written by the author of life Himself. And His plans are always good. Faith is more than just believing. It's living with the confidence that God is who He says He is, and He will do what He has promised to do. And when that faith begins to shape the way you live, you begin to see the world differently. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to see your struggles differently. Because now, every challenge is no longer a dead end. It's a place where God's power can be revealed. Every valley is no longer a place of defeat. It's a place where His presence walks with you. Every tear is no longer wasted. It's watering the soil of the testimony that God is preparing in your life. Transformation through faith is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the person God always intended you to be. The world may have labeled you as broken, weak, or unworthy, but faith rewrites your identity. Faith says you are chosen. Faith says you are loved. Faith says you are forgiven. Faith says you are strong, not because of your own strength, but because of the one who dwells within you. That is the kind of truth that liberates the soul and gives courage to live boldly. And friend, let me tell you, this world desperately needs people of faith. Look around. Fear is everywhere. Uncertainty is everywhere. Hopelessness is everywhere. People are searching for answers, searching for peace, searching for something real to hold on to. And when you walk in faith, when your life is transformed by the love of God, you become a living testimony of what is possible. Your light shines in the darkness. Your hope becomes contagious. Your courage inspires others to believe again. Never underestimate how God can use your story. That pain you endured, that valley you walked through, that battle you thought would break you, God can use it to breathe life into someone else. The comfort you have received becomes the comfort you can now give. The breakthrough you experienced becomes the encouragement for someone still waiting on theirs. The faith that carried you becomes the seed of faith in someone else's heart. This is how inspiring faith transforms lives, not in isolation, but in community. As we lift one another up, pointing each other back to Jesus. But I must also remind you, transformation is a journey. It doesn't happen all at once. There will be setbacks. There will be moments of doubt. There will be times you stumble. But that's the beauty of grace. God doesn't measure your worth by how perfectly you walk. He measures it by his love for you, and that love never fails. So, don't wait till you feel ready or perfect to start living by faith. Take the step now as you are with what little faith you have, and watch how God multiplies it. Think of Peter once again. He was impulsive, emotional, and imperfect. He denied Jesus 3 times, but later, filled with the Spirit, he became a pillar of the early church. His failure did not disqualify him. It prepared him to understand grace. That same grace is available to you. Your past mistakes don't disqualify you. Your weaknesses don't disqualify you. God delights in using broken vessels to pour out his glory. So, let this be the cry of your heart today. Lord, take my small faith and use it to transform me. Use it to inspire others. Use it to glorify your name. Because when you pray like that, you are opening the door for God to move in ways you never imagined. You are aligning yourself with his purposes. You are stepping into the very reason you were created. And here's the ultimate truth. The greatest transformation of all comes when faith carries you beyond this life. Faith is not only about today's struggles, it's about eternal hope. Because of Jesus, death is not the end. Because of Jesus, the grave has no victory. Because of Jesus, your future is secure and your story is eternal. That's why Paul could say, for me, to live is Christ and to die is gain. Inspiring faith transforms not only the years we have on this earth, but also prepares us for eternity with him. So if you are listening to this today and your heart is weary, let faith rise again. If you are tired, let hope whisper again. If you are broken, let grace heal again. And if you feel like your story's over, let me remind you, in God's hands, your story has just begun. Walk in faith. Live in faith. Hold on to faith, because inspiring faith doesn't just change how you survive life, it changes how you live life. And in the end, it will transform not only you, but everyone whose life is touched by yours. And remember this one truth as you go forward. Inspiring faith transforms lives, starting with yours and spreading to the world around you.